I correct myself. There's all the responsibility on Rochelle's shoulders.
I don't need... Actually,
Are you joking? Okay, so let's set the tone. The music is upbeat, the vibe is energized, and Rochelle is clearly matching it. Bouncing into the bathroom with all the spark of someone who's ready to take on the world before 8 a.m. I mean, that could have been me, but good for you, girl. Meanwhile, her mother walks in like a background character in a zombie movie, like fully depleted. Girlfriend has no life in her eyes, just exhaustion. But from this moment on, we're handed a very clear message without anyone needing to say it necessarily out loud. Rochelle is the one holding this household together, or at least this is how it's presented from her perspective. She's brushing her mom's teeth, she's feeding her baby brother, she's managing the schedule, she's, for all intents and purposes, the mom. But the interesting thing here is that this is not a mask yet. This isn't performative. This is survival at its finest, you see. I'm talking about this type of keep it togetherness, if you will. What we're witnessing here is parentification at its finest, which happens when a child is placed in the role of caregiver, mediator, organizer, or emotional regulator for their parents. And it's important to say this with both empathy and accountability. Yes, being a single mom is hard. Yes, burnout is real. And yes, we can have compassion for the mom. That's always a must. However, and let me hold your hand while I say this, children don't owe their childhood to adult struggle. Rochelle deserves to be taken care of, not to be the caretaker. Because I get it, boomers would look at her over-functioning and find it admirable, desirable even, but psychologically speaking, this is often a trauma response, a survival adaptation where the only way to feel safe is to stay in control of everyone and everything else. So even if we haven't seen Rochelle's mask just yet, this whole scene is already telling us something very important. She's living in chronic emotional responsibility. What's especially interesting is how the mom wakes up the moment she goes online. Suddenly she's smiling, she's upbeat, she's energized, a sharp contrast to the groggy, disengaged version we just saw a few seconds ago, you know? And that's just jarring because it's almost as if we're subtly being told that the mother doesn't think Rochelle deserves that best version of herself. Or again, at least this is how Rochelle might be internalizing it, because remember, this series is all about perspective. Anyway, Rochelle's been managing actual humans all morning, and her mom comes in, scoops up the baby, and drops the line, another day of being in the mom life. Like, ma'am, with all due respect, right? It's giving bullshit. But anyway, here's the part that matters most right now. Oh, you're handling your own finances? That's interesting. Aren't you like 12?
Hey, who wants a sugar rush?
Look at her mask. She's a mini adult, isn't she?
I could do 2-5 red.
Okay, now we see Rochelle in full business mode. And I mean, full-on child turns into manager. She's running that snack stand like she's pitching to investors, y'all. She's smooth, she's quick, she's strategic. She's answering questions before people even finish asking them. She's scanning the crowd like a hawk, pitching in the right tone, and even upselling like girl knows her worth and her target market. However, this isn't random. This is the mask. And to be fair, not just any mask. This is hyperindependence, or at least we see a subcategory of her main mask. Listen, this isn't just mature for her age, okay? This is if I take care of everything myself, no one can let me down type of energy. If I stay in control, I stay safe and I can fix everything. So let's be clear, hyperindependence usually comes from a wound. It's not a personality, it's a protective response. Specifically, it often comes from repeated disappointment from caregivers, emotional neglect, even if unintentional, feeling like asking for help equals being a burden, being praised for being so responsible way too young. And as a consequence, when kids are parentified and when they grow up in chaos or chronic unpredictability, they often build their identity around being the one who holds it all together. And that's Rochelle to a T. She doesn't ask for help, she doesn't expect it either, she just handles it all. The tricky part about hyperindependence is that it works. It does make you look unstoppable. People trust and rely on you, but it also makes it really hard to feel supported. To even understand you also need support even, you know what I mean? Think about it. When you're always the one giving, solving, leading, no one thinks to ask what you need. And honestly, most hyper-independent kids and adults can't even begin to answer that question themselves because they've trained themselves to not have needs at all. That was convenient growing up, What makes this extra complex is how good she is at it. Her competence is real. Her skills are impressive, but the cost is invisibility in this case, because the more she proves she can do it all, the more invisible her internal world becomes to others. So we see the shift back to kid at the end of her shift, literally, as she runs to play softball with her friends. And for a moment, we see her light up in a way that feels less managed. She's more playful, more kid-like, but still, that precision, that sharpness, that executive energy, it's still there. It seems to never fully shut off, almost like a second skin, which makes me think about another tricky part of hyperindependence.
Cut! Oh!
Out! That's game. Pickles! 5-4.
Hey! Go, Pickle!
No, Vanessa, what are you doing? That was a very quick pivot. Okay, so Rochelle's having a blast. She's in the zone. This is what joy looks like when it's unfiltered, by the way. Just pure momentum, play, connection, aliveness, and we love to see it. And her mom is there too, except she's not. I mean, she's physically present, yes, but emotionally she's checked right the fuck out. Back turned, ring light on, and high energy for her followers. We can see Rochelle looking up to find her gaze, to share that little spark of, did you see me? Listen, this is a sight no child should have to see, because that's the heart of her heartbreak right here. This celebration moment is meant to be a bit of connection, and her mom didn't get it. And it seems to be a pattern, because Rochelle pivots back to the team, smiling again, awfully quick. The behavior seems almost automatic, to the point where I can see her brain going, this hurts, but we've been here before, so don't take it personal, just move on. I have to say, this scene is devastating in its subtlety. Like, this whole series, actually, to be honest, so well done, writers, damn. Listen, kids don't need that much. They don't need huge praise or elaborate affirmations. They just need your gaze, your curiosity, doing things just to see them smile, putting yourself in second place. They need to feel seen, especially when they're shining, because this is when the process we call mirroring can happen. And mirroring is when a parent reflects back the child's joy, the child's pain, or aliveness in a way that validates their experience. It says, I see you, you matter, you exist in my world, and I'm so happy about that. However, Rochelle doesn't get that, and the danger here is that kids will always internalize the why. They rarely think, oh, my mom was overwhelmed. They think they're not interesting, or that their needs don't matter, that they're too much, and so on. And through these daily little moments, hyperindependence gets cemented. Because if even your best moments go unnoticed, why count on someone else for validation ever again? So again, what's wild to me is how quickly Rochelle self-soothes. She doesn't spiral, she doesn't lash out, she doesn't beg for attention, she doesn't get angry. You see, this kind of emotional agility is impressive, yes, definitely, but it is a sign of deep emotional suppression, a sign that she's been here too many times to even bother hoping for something different this time. The quiet danger in this scene is the fact that the disconnect from her mother stings in the moment, but it also starts to shape her blueprint for future relationships.
So the new price is going to be
$1,600. That's a lot of money. No. That's a lot of money. So her mask is failing her. Oh, that's interesting. Everything is falling apart, quite literally, defying gravity, out of her control. Breathe. Okay. Kid.
Beware chicken.
What's up with... What? That child confuses me and scares me altogether. Right, Coach gives this big speech, and it seems that every character heard something else, which is interesting because we hear a lot about grit and grinding here. We hear about what separates winners from losers, and ironically, Rochelle notices her busted, falling apart, can't even hide at shoes, all in the middle of a speech about leveling up. We witness again the wound in this scene when Rochelle's mom is on the phone. Again, she's physically there, but emotionally unavailable. So, of course, Rochelle takes the hyper-independent route, masks up, and becomes the parent, lying in the process to keep her mom covered and free of judgment from the other parents. So we can see another aspect of her mask. While it's very efficient and tidy and helps her function consistently, this mask doesn't just protect her from vulnerability, it denies it exists. Rochelle can't admit, not out loud, not even to to herself that her mother's absence is hurting her. So instead, she infiltrates the parent circle, the money talk, the logistics. She stands there, the only child in a group of adults, shoulders squared, face on, mask tight, and this image is quite devastating. This is where the mask of hyperindependence goes from coping mechanism to emotional prison. Because the message Rochelle has internalized is no one is coming, so I have to be the one who shows up. However, every mask has a breaking point, and I think we're there because this is bigger money, the kind she can't just hustle for in a couple of months. And for the first time, her brain is like, wait, I can't fix this. That's when the mask starts to malfunction, you see. Her head floats upward, her sunglasses rise. She's literally being unmasked by her own emotional overwhelm right now. So what is happening here is that we're watching a panic attack through a metaphor. And we can see how the panic gets rid of the mask because that's the only thing that feels safe in the moment for Rochelle. Therefore, the panic gets rid of it. And the panic gets rid of the mask because the mask is the only thing that makes Rochelle feel safe right now. And therefore, this is her nervous system saying, nope, too much, can't hold it together anymore. What the fuck is even happening at this point? And it's poetic because the same brain that kept her calm, cool, and clever before is now glitching under the pressure of something she can't control or strategize around. This scene shows the true cost of being the old soul, the independent one, the little adult, simply because
Go ahead, open it.
she kind of prioritized her excitement over her mom, over her daughter opening up.
Wait,
Oh no.
how did you pay for these?
I had to pick up some extra hours here and there. You know, coffee at home, no avocado toast, yada yada yada.
Are you lying, Vanessa?
I'll cancel my gym membership.
We did that last Christmas.
Okay, fine, no more online shopping.
You've been online shopping?
No.
Vanessa, no, this is not the way.
It's
And now
We'll make it work.
now she has to do the emotional labor. Do you
We
see that?
always do. Oh, I saw you speaking with Coach. Is everything okay?
Yeah, just some paperwork. I handled it.
Oh, so responsible.
That's not a compliment, you know? Wow, stop everyone. Because Rochelle almost asks for help here. She almost reaches for her mom financially and emotionally, but right away she remembers who she's talking to. And it's definitely not mom in the way a mom should be, right? It's someone more like a chaotic roommate with a fame kink. Her mom gives her some shiny new shoes, and for a microsecond, Rochelle lights up, you know, like a real kid would. Just pure joy. Yes, for a microsecond, because the next one, the camera's on, and the joy gets swallowed. She realizes immediately, oh god, this isn't about me. This is about optics, about likes, about being the cool mom. So, Rochelle, being the 40-year-old, 12-year-old that she is, asks, how did you even buy these? Very pertinent question, but that, my friends, is when we fall into the rabbit hole of mom's absolute financial disaster spiral. Like, no savings, no plan, just a bunch of, nice shoes and no sense of long-term consequences? Basically, this is parentification on steroids. I mean, let's be for fucking real right now. Rochelle is the only adult in this house and she's a kid. Are we all equally worried about the safety of this imaginary child? Because I know I am. Oh. She's the one doing the budgeting. She's the one noticing deficits. She's the one stopping the celebration to ask, wait, can we even afford this? But when she sees her mom's sad face, she has to once more do the emotional labor of soothing her, saying it's okay even if it absolutely fucking isn't. Even though she's the one who's scared, confused, and overwhelmed, so of course, she doesn't ask for money. However, the twist the knife moment comes when her mother calls her so responsible. We see the gravity around her lose its grip and panic comes again because that isn't a goddamn compliment. God, this is so infuriating. That's a label. That's a job description. That's the reason no one checks on her to begin with. So of course that would trigger a panic attack because this subtly confirms her beliefs that run in the background. You know, no one is coming. I have to hold it all together. If I break, everything breaks. At this point, this is very much comparable to torture, I swear to God. And just to add insult to injury, her mom wants to take a photo of her mid-meltdown. Smile for the gram, honey. And poor Rochelle fakes it because even in panic, she knows her job is to make her mom feel better.
Oh shit, you feel me? I'm going up.
It's alright.
Oh, you're beautiful. Wow. I love it.
So let's be real for a second here because there's no easy way out for kids like Rochelle. She can't just stop being responsible, you know? She can't move out, she can't rewrite the adult in the room, but what she can do and what we can do as adults now watching this is...
At least you have cool cleats for next season.
Yeah, that's so good. Man, did you see how no one is there for Rochelle? She never really speaks about herself.
Could I just copy your answers on the homework? I cannot fail this class.
Sorry, Tom. I don't do cheating.
Even in this state, she's so lucid, so
Oh, right.
grounded.
Right, very true. I'll pay you $20.
20 bucks?
30?
I don't think you understand how this works, Tom.
Fine, 50.
Deal?
Sweet.
Okay, so Rochelle is once again holding up the world. Like, what else is new, right? She's helping everyone, Lori, the classmates, probably the janitor if he asked. And no one ever is noticing that she's actively having a panic attack while doing it. She's spinning inside, but we hear her calmly say, well, if you don't put in the effort, how are you going to learn? Girl, I wish I could adopt you, the hell? So now we add another layer to the mask she uses, okay? It's hyperindependence, yes, but combined with functional panic. A sort of next level masking where you become so emotionally overregulated, you could be melting down on the inside, but still giving TED Talks on the outside. Like, that's what we're talking about here. So let's break down this part of the mask. Rochelle's nervous system has normalized distress. So instead of collapsing, she optimizes on the go. Because over time, the brain learns no one is coming to co-regulate me, so my only choice is to function through the panic. This is often seen in gifted, parentified, or trauma-exposed children. They develop a dangerously high window of tolerance, not because they're strong, but because they've been forced to adapt. Now, we seem to hit the turning point here when someone offers her money for her homework, and just like that, once she accepts, the panic stops. Everything comes back to normal. Gravity works again. And it's not magic, this is something she can control. So the path here is money equals control, control equals stability, stability equals safety. So now we see the mask evolve. She's performing adulthood and she's capitalizing on it. She becomes a girl boss of academic side hustles, you know. Her charisma is monetized, her anxiety is optimized, her childhood is compromised. But now it's almost as if she has two full-time jobs. The business mogul of the middle school black market and the parentified daughter holding down the fort at home. That becomes, of course, unsustainable because she's not a machine. She is a child with a nervous system that's burning through its battery every day just trying to keep up the illusion that she is fine. As you can notice, her nervous system only relaxes when she has a plan, a payment, or a product, and of course, that's not peace. The healing begins the moment she...
I was caught in the crossfire. There was a note being passed, and I know I shouldn't have. But, you know, this kid asked me to pass it.
Okay.
It's a very interesting mashup of truth and lies. Really? Really, Vanessa? Because to be honest with you, in this episode, I don't really see a lot of raising. Do you see that? Damn it.
I was thinking before the game we could get some mani-pedis, just us gals.
With what money? And what...
Okay, so don't be mad.
Are you joking, Vanessa? What kind of dynamic is that? Yeah, look at that. Your child is the adult in this situation. Okay, Rochelle has officially bitten off more than she can chew, so she takes a high-risk gig. Help a dude cheat on a test. And even if reluctantly, that's the sum that would help reach her goals, so she agrees to it. But plot twist, he doesn't follow the plan. He doesn't sit behind her, he botches the whole thing, and Rochelle gets caught. Now, here comes the whiplash. The mom, yes, the same mom who just bought shoes with non-existent funds, is suddenly in responsible parent mode. She wants answers now, she wants accountability, but Rochelle can't tell the truth because the real truth is, I cheated to cover the costs you were supposed to handle. I did it because I've been carrying the weight you were supposed to carry. But again, she can't say that because her mom's self-worth is fragile and Rochelle is more afraid of hurting her mom's feelings than expressing her own pain. That's why she doesn't have her mask on here, because the hyper-independent hustler doesn't help in this situation. It can solve logistics, manage crisis, handle schedules, sure, but it cannot navigate emotional betrayal from the person who should be protecting you. I'd call this parentification paralysis, where Rochelle has internalized the belief that if she speaks her truth, she will damage her parent, and to be honest, she just might, because her mom's emotional regulation is outsourced to her audience. You know, the live chat is her validation, so when she hears Rochelle's half-truth, she responds with, well, thank God I didn't raise a cheater. Excuse me? Ma'am, let's back the fuck up right now, okay? Because Rochelle might not be able to say it, but I can. You didn't raise her at all. She raised herself while you were out here living and forgetting the diapers. I mean, someone had to say it, right? Come on now. But anyway, just as Rochelle is on the edge of breaking that silence, just as she's this close to being real and honest and maybe, you know, ask for some much needed help, her mom, of course, shoves the phone in her face to stream it. Because God forbid we can have an actual moment of connection that isn't curated for strangers, am I right? What's even the point of parenting if you can't brag about it after all? God. Then the reversal happens.
I was a jerk. Besides, I really want to focus on being a content creator.
Content? That's not even a thing.
Yes, it is. I'm a full-time influencer now.
What does that even
A
mean?
little more positivity.
You can't just make these kind of decisions on a whim. You
Right?
need to talk to me first, Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Okay, it's a bit triggering for her.
Mom, and you really need to chill out and trust me. I'm the adult.
Why?
Sure,
Ouch. Oh la la, this is the breaking point. Rochelle is giving her mom a bit of a lesson here, but in doing so, she calls her mother by her name, and it seems like that one word was a trigger for Vanessa because suddenly the mom decides now it's time to pull rank. She slams Rochelle back into the child role, tells her she's the adult, and snatches away the only identity Rochelle has been able to rely on to survive. Because nothing enrages an emotionally immature parent more than when the child mirrors back their own behavior. So let's talk about what just happened here. This is role confusion and emotional gaslighting on full display. Vanessa doesn't want to carry the weight of being a mom, but the moment Rochelle reflects back her own immaturity, she yells, "I'm the adult!" Oh, like it's a magic spell that actually makes it true. Ma'am, take several seats, please. However, those 3 seconds of reaction from Rochelle is where all the unspoken trauma comes rushing in. I see sadness, I see resentment and anger, and finally emotional withdrawal. "Sure, Mom," she says, short, flat, closed off, full shutdown. That's why her mask becomes a prison. You see, Rochelle is not allowed to be seen as the adult, even though she functions as one, even though she thinks like one, even though she feels the pressure of one, but she's also not allowed to be a child either, because Vanessa doesn't actually parent her. So Rochelle lives in this no man's land. Not a child, not an adult, not enough freedom to leave, not enough safety to stay. And this is exactly the kind of emotional double bind that leads people to cut contact later in life. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but it has to be said. The nervous system remembers all of the invalidation and the hypocrisy, the absence, dressed up as affection, all of it. Rochelle simply needs a mom that acts like a mom, you know, that apologizes without filming it, or that takes responsibility without defensiveness, or maybe, I don't know, crazy idea, not needing to be the most loved person in the room all the time. Sometimes the only—
Hey, what are you...
Okay, relax.
What do you mean, relax?
We don't want your cleats.
Quack, quack.
Okay, then why'd you waste my time? I'm late for my game.
Oh, her mask is gone. She's afraid.
You work at the snack shack, right? Let us borrow your keys.
What?
What? No, I'm not helping you steal.
It's no different than cheating. Whoops, sorry, I mean tutoring.
Quack.
It is very different.
Wow, that's actually really smart.
Wow, some quick reflexes she has. Very smart. Okay, now run like the wind and do not look back. Good. Oh God, Rochelle. Oh goodness. This is a bad situation to be in, regardless of how old you are. Oh my God, they're with a car? Right, so after her mother's rejection, let's call it what it is, Rochelle hits a breaking point, but instead of spiraling, she hustles. She decides, you know, if no one's gonna help me, I'll help myself. But then the plan kind of unravels because she forgets her phone. So she feels the isolation and she's lured into a sketchy situation where we see the mask flicker back on. Her posture changes, her face hardens, she walks in like she owns the place. But the second those boys grab her shoes and don't pay her, the mask falls. But why? Because the mask was never made for real danger, guys. It's designed to survive emotional neglect, not physical threat. And in that moment, Rochelle isn't a hustler or a boss or even a fixer. She's a scared, vulnerable kid. So these kids try to manipulate her morality. They try to tell her that it's not stealing. It's like what you were doing with the tutoring. This is moral reframing, a manipulation tactic where someone twists your values to justify their actions and and coerce you into agreement. And it hits especially hard for someone like Rochelle because part of what fuels her mask is the belief that she's good because she's useful. So when her usefulness is turned into complicity, her whole system starts to break down. Her panic rises, and very fast. But even in this state, she's smart. She's scanning the environment. She's calculating, full-blown sympathetic nervous system activation, but with enough prefrontal access to strategize her escape. She plays the game, grabs her shoes, runs, and then the car chase. Oh, let's talk about it because, it's metaphor rich and I love a good symbol. She's being chased by a car, but somehow she keeps up speed-wise, She sprints down alleys, gravity warps, objects lift, time slows, anxiety drags her into one direction. So what's the metaphor here? She's not outrunning them. She's outrunning her loss of control. That car isn't just danger, it's adulthood barreling toward her. It's responsibility, it's exploitation, it's abandonment. But even though Rochelle's been acting like an adult this whole time, this scene finally viscerally proves she is not an adult. No matter how much she tries to mimic, she is a child who has adapted like one. But her brain, her capacity, her safety systems, they're still that of a child. Nothing is gonna change that, except for time. That's why no matter how competent she seems, it doesn't change this fact. She needed someone, and no one came. And that leads us to the final image.